I'm really pleased to be asked to open this fifth Let's Talk About X event. You might not know, but this year we didn't just invite students and staff, but we also invited some members of the public who will be joining us at some point over the next 2 days, and some pupils from local high schools who unfortunately can't come because their teacher's not well. But I think it's good that you know that they were planning on coming, and that's hopefully something we'll build in a lot more in the future. This is not a typical conference, and I suppose in some respects this isn't a typical keynote speech, largely because this is such a multidisciplinary conference. So most conferences, Scott said that academics tend to go to conferences a lot, they do, and so do postgraduate research students. And although we often say they're quite multidisciplinary, they're generally based around a discipline to begin with, so a geography conference or a biology conference. And attached to that will be lots of different perspectives, but they will still have that core focus on the discipline. This is very different. So you will know from the programme that there are so many different disciplines presenting here, and I think that's what makes it so interesting and unique within the context of the university, I think. The other claim to uniqueness is that I gather we are the only ones who have an undergraduate conference of this nature, and so that's really important to emphasise. It's unusual for undergraduates to have the opportunity to present in the way that you're having the chance to do so just now. So we're very pleased about that and very proud to be associated with that. Let's Talk About X started off as quite a small endeavour. I think we have to give some credit to Scott and Andrew, who came up with the idea 2 weeks before the very first event that they could host an undergraduate conference. And they had a budget of £125. And they managed to deliver a conference in 2 weeks with £125, and it's grown and grown since then. Last year there were around 400 people in and out of the conference, and we'll have similar numbers. It might not look like it right now, but we will have similar numbers over the course of the next 2 days as people come along to the sessions that they are available for. So, like all good research ideas, Let's Talk About X began as something quite small, but it's proven itself over time, and I think the fact that it's grown into a 2-day event is testament to the success of that idea. So I thought I would just say a little bit about why conferences like this matter in universities like this. So one of the things we're often asked as members of staff is, what is the value of a research-based or a research-intensive university like Glasgow? Why come and study somewhere like this? And we often say, amongst other things, that our students are exposed to and involved in research right from the start. But actually, this is a really good example of exactly what that means. What does it mean to come here and to be part of a research environment? So Let's Talk About X is an embodiment of that, I think, in many respects. But it's also a perfect illustration of the relationship between teaching and research. We talk a lot about research and teaching, teaching and research, and it's that nexus, it's where that's a connection between the two that actually is so exciting for many of us who work here. Seeing our students involved in research, undertaking your own research and then presenting that is really what most of us are here for, because we are passionate about the research that we do, we're passionate about the teaching that we do, and the ability to bring them together is fantastic. But it's also where knowledge creation begins. So those of you who are in first year, it's fantastic that you can be involved in a research conference that early in your academic life here at the university. It's not just part of our contribution to your learning experience, it's also part of us helping you to develop your own insights, your own expertise, and to make that contribution to society locally and globally that we believe you have the potential to do. So what are the benefits of participating? Well, if you're a student in the audience, and or if you're whether you're just listening or whether you're participating, one of the first things you'll be doing is taking part in creating and sharing knowledge. And as Scott said, often that happens in the breaks, it happens around the chats around the posters, it happens in the discussions after you've presented, it happens whilst you're drinking coffee. The whole research environment is about sharing ideas and giving one another feedback, so I really would encourage you to do that. That's also about developing your understanding, your communication skills, and your role as a citizen in a wider academic community. And you may also be reassured to know that it's helping you develop skills that are really valued by employers. So employers often tell us that we have students across higher education who are really, really good in their discipline, but who don't always communicate quite so well with other students from other disciplines or graduates from other disciplines. And if there was a skill that most employers are really looking for, it's that cross-cultural and cross-disciplinary communication. So what you're doing here is brilliant, because that will really aid you in the workplace. There's also the fact that beginning engaging with research at an early stage in your career actually not only helps you develop those skills for the future, but helps you develop skills potentially for an academic career. Now, I don't know how many of you are thinking about doing that, but if you are, this is a brilliant way to start, and it's a brilliant way to figure out if that's for you. So, essential skills, graduate attributes, we talk about them quite a lot in the university. That's something that you're already developing just by taking part today, and you'll be adding value to your CV. For those of you who haven't been involved before, what might you expect? Well, you've already seen the conference the programme, so you can pick sessions that are of particular interest to you, and I would encourage you to go way beyond your comfort zone and go and listen to things that you've never thought about listening to before, because that's the whole point of this conference, to introduce you to diverse, interesting topics. And I think the other thing is that we're not just showcasing undergraduate research here, but we're also going to be picking some of the best talks, and those students will be invited to present at our annual Learning and Teaching Conference, which is largely a staff-facing conference where there are 400, 500 people sometimes, 400 last year I think, with visitors from across the sector and internationally. So some of you will be practicing with this audience and then potentially speaking to a larger audience again. Something else that you might not be aware of if you've not been here before is that actually this conference isn't just run by the team in Leeds, but it's crucially dependent on the mentors who've taken part in coaching and supporting the presenters. So a personal thank you from me to the mentors for doing that. You've deliberately been paired with people who work in very different disciplines from you, so that helps with the cross-disciplinary communication. And allows the students, the presenters, not only to develop their skills in talking about their discipline, but to practice that with somebody that they might actually want to try and convince about maybe changing their topic. Mentorship's also good for the mentors. It's a different kind of skill for them to demonstrate supporting you. They have to communicate the skills that they've developed and to help you to develop your own. So it's been a fantastic concept, I think, behind this conference to have those sorts of pairings in that way. One new development for this year, if you're interested in the advice that the mentors give, there should be some online resources available later on for you to access, so that you can hear what the advice is that's been given. Just briefly, I also wanted to say, well, does this say anything about the wider university? For anyone who is less familiar with the university, so any members of the public who might be here or watching this later, I would like to say that one of the key priorities for us is developing a vibrant community of students. We have students from around the world. We have students who we encourage to challenge one another, and we have students we encourage to challenge staff. And I think don't underestimate just how much staff members can learn from you when you present. I was listening to medical students presenting last week the results of some work they've been doing for the last 5 weeks. And having listened to the topics every year, I can tell you that every single time a different group of students presents on the same topic as previous year students, they still bring some insight that we hadn't anticipated. They still bring something new for us as members of staff. So don't ever imagine you haven't something new to add to us. Just because we've been teaching for 10, 15, 20 years doesn't mean we can't still be challenged by you. So I would encourage you to do that, and today is a key step in that. We have an ambitious campus development plan, as Scott mentioned a few minutes ago. And so we're doing our best to try and create learning spaces, research spaces that really allow you to fulfill your potential. And the other thing we're also doing is to try and encourage more active approaches to learning and teaching, so getting you much more involved in shaping the curriculum and in really getting involved in classes in ways that we didn't used to be able to do. So we have completely new layouts for some of our lecture theatres and our teaching rooms. But the thing I really wanted to highlight to you is we also have funding for students to work as partners with staff in redesigning assessment and in redesigning the curriculum, the actual content of what we teach. So if you're inspired by what you're doing here and inspired by hearing other people present, and it gives you ideas about how your own teaching could change, by which I mean the experience you have in the classroom as a student, or if you're one of the mentors and you're teaching and you think there's something that we could do better, there's some funding going to be announced very shortly. So do encourage you to apply for that and to really see if we can change what we do in assessment and feedback terms and in content terms. So look out for those internship opportunities. So I hope that what you experience over the next 2 days gives you a flavour of the wider richness in the university and what it is that we're trying to do. And I didn't really want to say terribly much more than that just now, other than for those of you who are presenting, I just wanted to say good luck with your talks. It's a great thing that you're doing, and it's no small task to stand up in front of a large audience and to present. It might seem fine and you stand up here, but just remember, if you feel at all nervous, everyone is on your side and wants you to do well, and we're here to celebrate what it is that you're doing, so good luck with that. I didn't really want to say anything else other than to say thanks very much for your attention just now. I'm going to hand over to Jess and Mickey from Leeds, who are going to give you another short talk about the value of research communication in a multidisciplinary context. And so as they're making their way up here, I will just say I very much hope that you enjoy the next 2 days and that you get as much out of this and give as much to those who present as you can. Thank you very much.